Hello viewers, I'm SB, and I think we have a couple of loose ends to tie up here on the Obra Dinn. So our first order of business, the ending. At the end of the previous recording session, I didn't fully understand the ending, but I wanted to get off camera. I figured I'd do a better job of thinking it out if I wasn't also trying to provide my usual incredibly high standard of commentary. On between them, there's some kind of animal in the thing? Is that a baby giraffe? Right, the head kind of looks like it's probably a goat. So I had a bit of a think on it, and then I thought about it some more, and then I really settled in and cogitated on the subject, and then somebody explained it to me in the comments of the last episode, which I really appreciate. So here's what I missed. Before we got a hold of it, this magic pocket watch here belonged to Dr. Henry Evans. Apparently it can actually be seen in the surgeon's quarters in at least one of the memories. I think I missed that. I don't know. I don't know if I missed that entirely or if we saw it and I just forgot, which is also extremely possible. But in any case, it's important to know that he had the watch and that he understood how it works, because it helps to explain why that reprobate then had a portion of a monkey mailed to us later. So this then is my current understanding of the ending. After the chest containing the magic conch was brought back on board following the failed kidnapping of the Formosan royalty, this game's plot is pretty wild, I'm now realizing. It's stored in the lazarette, right? They put the chest in the lazarette. So let's jump into our book here for a moment. So there's this, right? In parts 2 and 3 of the bargain chapter, we see the captain murdering some mermaids. He threatens, shoots, and stabs them in an attempt to get them to call off the sea monster. But for the first time in his life, Captain Robert Witterell has encountered a problem that he cannot murder his way out of. So instead, he has to make a deal. He exchanges the shell for escape from the monster and safe passage for the ship back to friendly waters. Now, the dialogue here, this part in particular, brings up something that I was a little confused about. I guess I still am kind of a little confused about. During the final chapter, the captain and his assailants also talk about there being multiple shells. It seems clear to me that one shell was already in the chest that the Formosan royalty were traveling with, right? The first time we see that chest, it has a shell in it. So we assume they brought it onto the ship with them. But I don't know where the other 2 shells would have come from. We don't ever see more than one shell at a time, I don't think. It's possible that the Formosans had 2 more shells stashed in their luggage the whole time, or maybe the mermaids had the extra shells with them when they attacked the rowboats, because I think we did see a shell on one of the mermaids in one of those memories, but I just assumed it was the same shell that had been in the chest. Anyway, in any case, the shell the captain trades out here seems to be the last one, which is enough to calm the mermaids enough to call off the monster attack. And then, I'm a little foggy on this part too. At some point, the key to the lazarette gets lost, right? Because in the final memory in this chapter, this is Henry Evans speaking here. Actually, we can just jump into this memory. This will be a little clearer.
There you are. Collect your things. Where's the key? To that door. Gone. There's no time. We need to go.
Right. Here you go.
What are you up to?
Nothing good.
You know, it didn't strike me until just this moment how much Henry Evans is like really obviously doing an old-timey Duke Nukem impression. But this thing, right? What this thing is him realizing the key to the lazarette is gone, and then putting the monkey through the grate on the window and shooting it, so that its death will create a checkpoint for the pocket watch. When we first saw this scene, I didn't understand that that's why he was killing the monkey, because I didn't have the information that he knew how the watch worked, right? So presumably after this, he pulls it back via this leash that we see here. He removes the paw and preserves it so that the bearer can use it to travel back to this moment on the inside of the lazarette door, which he knows will also give them access to the deaths of the mermaids, and Philip Dahl over here who burned himself on the shell, and also this guy whose name I made a note of, Martin Parrott. So not knowing that that Evans had the watch and knew how it worked, this was very mysterious to me. So when we saw the monkey's paw in the package, all I could think of was that W.W. Jacobs short story, the one everybody knows about, the monkey paw, which would be a really odd thing for the game to swerve into in its final moments. Fortunately, the problem is not that Lucas Pope botched the ending, but rather that I am kind of dumb. I do think it's extremely appropriate, by the way, that the player's ability to fully understand the events of the ending and the bargain chapter as a whole is reliant on their attentiveness to the memories. It's a test that I failed, but it's a test that should be here. It's very much in keeping with the rest of the story. Let's get back out to our office here while we talk about our second order of business, the Final Thoughts part of the Final Thoughts video. I enjoyed this game tremendously. And one of the things I liked most about it is the premise. Or maybe premise isn't quite the word I want. I'm trying to talk about what we would call theme in board gaming, but the word theme is pretty overloaded in video games because, you have music and a narrative. There are a lot of different types of themes in a game. What I'm trying to talk about is a combination of the premise, the setting, and maybe most importantly, the verbs that the game offers you, or maybe really the way that the game dresses those verbs up. I sometimes get frustrated, I've expressed this a few times on the channel, about how similar a lot of games are, and a big part of that comes from the verbs that they offer. I play a lot of games here on the channel, and also with all of my other free time, and there are definitely ways in which those games are different, and they have diverse settings and somewhat diverse problems to solve, but in probably like 95% of them, I solve all of those diverse problems with murder. Right? I'm put in situations and I'm given some buttons to press, and all of those buttons either commit a murder or help me to set up a murder yet to come. And sometimes there are like awesome, interesting, vast mechanical systems in place, but a lot of what I'm doing with those systems is improving my murder efficacy or increasing my murders per second. And you get where I'm going with this. Something I sometimes find lacking, and it does wear on me a bit, is a lack of like diversity of approach and action. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it might be the case that part of what draws me to 4X games is the fact that they do offer diversity of approach, at least to a greater degree than most other types of games do. I'm getting kind of off subject here, I guess, and I've sort of forgotten where I was going. But to loop back, I really appreciate that there are people like Lucas Pope out there making games where the player does strange things in strange places. It's refreshing. It's like a breath of fresh air. I think that's really all I have to say about that for the moment. So that concludes our voyage on the Obra Dinn, which I really enjoyed, and I'm really happy to have been able to bring you guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.